Poltergeists, apparitions and murder await the most haunted team in Gloucestershire.
With so many ghost sightings, this could very well be one of the most haunted houses in England. With all this in mind, I just had to bring you to investigate the Manor House in Petty France, Gloucestershire.
Lying at the foot of the Cotswold Hills, our South Gloucestershire location has recently returned to its roots. The Manor House as we see it today was constructed late in the 18th century and has been home to many notable names. The man who was to become Britain's 19th Prime Minister inherited the house in 1808, and other prominent political and literary figures have since held an association with this property. Converted into a country club in 1953, it acted as a hotel from the late 60s until its current owners moved in 3 years ago, and it was they who refurbished the house and turned it back into a private country manor.
It's a house that's been here since the 1800s, so that's not that long ago, to be quite honest with you, but it has the most incredible history. It has so many famous people that have had associations with the building or have actually lived here. It was built by the father of Robert Banks Jenkinson, who of course was Lord Liverpool, the famous or infamous Prime Minister. We know for a fact that the Duke of Wellington actually visited this house. Jane Austen stayed here.
But it was a heavy and troublesome business, and she could not easily forget its having stopped 2 hours at Petty France. Half the time would have been enough of a 2 hours wait at Petty France, in which there was nothing to be done.
Even William Wordsworth owned this house, and it's got ghosts, of course.
The ghost of a gentleman has been seen walking from the dining room through to the sitting room, and cats would often wail for no apparent reason. But perhaps the strangest activity is when this building used to be a hotel. The staff often complained that a table set for one would be occupied by a gentleman who would get up and leave without any warning, and then there would be no evidence of his visit.
Because Lord Liverpool was the most famous person that lived in this house, I wonder if he's got some unfinished business. He loved the house very much, spent a lot of time here. Perhaps that's why he still lingers around the place.
Here in the attic, it's said that the entity of an old lady has been seen sitting on the bed. Many people have been touched by unseen hands, and the temperature suddenly drops when there are no drafts.
The family that were living with us last year for several months, when it came to the children, the daughter Amy, who was 12 at the time, her mum said to her, "Will you be sad to leave Petty France?" And Amy said, "I will be sad," she said, "but I'll be really relieved to get away from all those people in my room."
In the Crystal Room, it's thought that a young woman called Amelia died during childbirth. Is it her ghost that causes the oppressive atmosphere in this room? Also, the image of a large man has been seen walking slowly across this floor, along with heavy dragging sounds.
He moves as if he owns the place. I mean, he walks through the rooms as if he doesn't know he's not supposed to be there. There's, you know, it's not fast, it's not slow, it's just as if he's still alive.
Whether that's a separate ghost, or whether it's a ghost that are here, that for whatever reason are trying to get our attention, all I hope is that they try and get our attention tonight.
Perhaps then an early sign that the Manor House may not offer the home comforts that the most haunted crew initially thought, as parapsychologist Ciaran O'Keefe explains.
Compared to previous locations, there won't be so much anxiety or fear, because even though it is quite opulent, it's quite a grand place, it's very, very comfortable. It certainly has a very, very lived-in feel. Now, this is an unusual place because of the number of apparitions that are seen from different time periods and also different forms of apparitions. We've got black figures, we've got apparitions of ladies seen, also children, and setting up a lot of locked off cameras in those various locations would be ideal. There has been some poltergeist activity reported, so in one of the rooms we'll be setting up trigger objects together with EMF meters, focusing on temperature in that particular room to see if there's any natural cause of the poltergeist activity. In the attic, auditory phenomena has been heard, and so maybe setting up a locked off camera together with an MP3 player in there will pick up any auditory phenomena, or at least a natural cause of it. There is one aspect though that I think is of concern, and that's the dust that's prevalent in some of the rooms. We have to be wary of this in case people think that any light anomalies they're seeing are paranormal. Any orbs, any sort of flickers on cameras should be interpreted initially as dust until proven otherwise.
With spiritualist mediums Derek Acorah and David Wells arriving in the Gloucestershire countryside separately and neither knowing anything of our base beforehand, we could now begin. This is an apparent hotbed of supernatural activity, and with expectations high, it was time for actions to speak louder than words, as we stepped inside the Manor House at Petty France.
It's a lot colder up here, isn't it?
I feel there's movement up here, movement, spiritual activity, whether it's grounded or whether it's just in visitation. I'm being made aware of a young child, a young girl child.
How old?
I would say she could be anything up to the age of 6, 7. This little girl sobs a lot. She makes, you know, crying out and sobs.
Why is she upset?
She's looking out and she's crying for her mother. She's looking through the window. She always ends up by the window.
What year would you say this would have taken place when she lost her life?
Yes, 1653.
Right.
1653. And she's a beautiful little soul, and she's not reunited with her mother.
Did she live here? Is that why she's here?
I feel she's got very strong links with this property here.
Right.
Very strong.
Do you want to go downstairs?
Can we? Yeah, please.
Despite our initial reservation regarding the manor house's air of malevolence, the description of a traumatised young girl was an early indication that perhaps we had misjudged the real feel of this building. Perhaps this girl's story would unravel further in the Crystal Room.
Whoever sleeps here, they'd be startled. And they'd run out of this place. I'm sure of it.
Right.
But
So who's doing that then?
the master?
Right.
The master. He's got him what? 1587 and 1588.
What was that? When he did something?
What did he do? He raped and murdered the maid, the young maid. He causes what? The fire. Look, we can see that there. All that is in there is a candle. And there's nothing else, is there?
No.
Right. Well, what this soul does, if someone was sleeping here, suddenly they'd wake up and they'd see that fire burning, full flame.
Is this something that would have happened in the recent past as well?
That phenomena, I feel, is still taking place here. And we're not talking about going back 100 years or even 50 years. That I feel this is a recent phenomena.
Ask Sam who this master is. Because we've got a date, we just need a name.
What's just flashed in front of me there, that William was given, and then, I don't know if it's sounding like Berkeley or Berkeley, but it begins with the B.
Okay. But something like Berkeley or Berkeley.
It's something